Hi guys. Yeah, so to continue with this session, I'll be explaining the module mapping file and relevant class. So in this driver mapping class, I'll be mapping the actual keyword that is mentioned in the test steps to our functions in the Selenium driver class. So here I'm just inheriting from the Selenium driver .py file, and based on that class I'll be inheriting all the keywords and I'll be passing all the attributes here. So based on these attributes are nothing but we are getting from the Excel, right? And this module mapping is called in the main test. You can see here here I'm calling the module mapping execute keyword. So within module mapping we have this execute keyword. So this is nothing but this is a kind of this function acts like a bridge between my actual code and the test case steps. We are performing all the functions. So based on the particular functionality, if the functionality has worked fine, so in that case we will be returning the result. So this result is nothing but, for example, navigate right. So if the navigation happened fine, so I'll be returning a test true. So that particular this true value will be stored in the module mapping result, and I'll be returning this result, and this result will determine my test step status, that is pass or fail. So yeah, so similarly for all the keywords I'm doing the mapping with the actual functions, and if none of the keywords match, then I'm just throwing an error saying that bad keyword or not found. And test status .py file, yeah, has a class called test status. So here what I'm doing is that based on the every test step we are getting whether it is true or false, right? So if it is false, then I'm marking that particular step as fail, and if it is true, sorry, if the result is none, that is there was no result at all, so in that case I'm marking it as fail. And if it is true, so in that case I'll mark in a particular step as pass, and I'll be storing this pass in a list called the result list. And whenever my test whenever I want to update my test step, I'll be calling this particular method. And if I want to capture my test case status, I repeat, test case status, I'm calling this function as mark final. So in this mark, that is test step status, I'm calling just this set result function that will have all the test step pass or fail status, and mark final will have the test case status, that is if any of my test step fails, so in that case I am asserting it as false equal to false, or else it is assert true equal to true, and I am capturing all the status here. Based on that, my log file will have the result. So here this is my report, right? So my report will look just like this. So this is my test case. My test case is verify DB connection, right? That I mentioned here in my Excel. Here, verify DB connection. I'm logging that. So with the help of logging, I'm just capturing all these values. See, in my test step I did not mention that end word, that's why I'm getting this particular error. This is a minor fix, but if you just mention here it as end, then it will fix that stuff, and it will log all the test steps along with the status, so that is pass or fail, and also the last line will have the test case status. So here we can say test case passed, and the test case name will be mentioned here. So yeah, pretty much I have covered everything, and I have added all the comments wherever required. So basically I'm using the PyTest concept along with the conf test, right? And I mentioned it order equal to 1. uh, yeah, we have only one PyTest here, so I'll mention it order equal to 1, and this is nothing but the conf test in the conf test file. I'm just passing that to the initial step module, and auto is equal to true PyTest fiction. This is nothing but for the entire class. These values or these object instances will be available during our execution. So yeah, so based on the comments you can try to understand this framework. And yeah, you need to, if you want to run any test case for Oracle, you need to install the Oracle software. This is free of cost, and you can install it. The install guidelines you can get from the YouTube. There are so many videos how to install the Oracle and set up in a system. And regarding the installation of Python emulator, I'm using PyCharm, so you can try to get some videos and see how you can set up the PyCharm in your machine. And regarding Selenium packages, yeah, it is pretty straightforward, right? You know, like if you're planning to build a framework, then definitely you'll have all the Selenium packages in your system. And if you want to know like what all packages I have installed in my machine, I can just show you. I'll just type in this. So it will list all the packages that I've installed in my machine. Yep, so it's a long list. You can just pause the video and try to install all these packages in your machine, in case if the framework is not working fine in your machine. I have tested the framework thoroughly and it works fine. Yeah, there are some rules like for selecting the radio button or selecting the checkbox. So in that case, yeah, you need to follow the structure I mentioned here. That is, while capturing the XPath for radio button or checkbox, you need to keep it in this format, that is in terms of arguments, and this particular value you should pass from the test step, because I have built the framework in such a way that those two values are parameterized. Okay. So yeah, I will place this particular framework in a Google Drive, and I'll share the link in the description so that you can access that framework and try to use it. If you have any questions, you can definitely add a comment. I'll try to resolve it. Yeah, and also I have some sample test cases mentioned in this particular spreadsheet for testing purpose. You can try to use this for your framework building. And yeah, if you want to run a particular test case, right, make sure that all these run mode, right, are yes. If it is no, that means these test cases will not be executed. So let me show you one test case. So basically this particular test case, what it does is that it will go to this site, that is Mercury flight site. It will capture the data from the UI, that is home, right? Let me show you. I'll show it manually so that it will be clear to you. So here we have this link called home. So I'm just checking that this home is matching with the database output home. So in my database I have mentioned it as in my one of my sample table, it has home. So yeah, I have just entered some special characters because I'm sanitizing these values before verification. I was just testing that part. So I'm just getting the value from database and the UI and just comparing it in my test case. So I'll run this test case. Okay, so one more thing is, before you run this test case, right, just type in the cd test, that is you are navigating to this particular test folder, then running this particular main underscore test.py file, cd test, enter, and after that type in that command file.test. This minus s minus v is command we use to execute a test case. V is nothing but verbose. You can get these details in any Python site. After that I'm using this browser, right? So this browser I have mentioned in my WebDriver, in the contest. So in the contest I'm parsing that particular variable as browser, right? And I'm getting accepting the value for this browser. So what value I'm using? Chrome, for example. So when I give this Chrome, based on this it will set the calling class attribute as the driver, right? And in this driver I'm passing this browser attribute. So I'm going to give it as Chrome. And if you want to format HTML, we'll see to that later. Test v1, yep, and just click on enter. So when you click on enter, it will run the test case. How to run the test case I have mentioned in this document, so no need to worry on that part. So you can see here it navigated to the site, got the value from the database. Yeah, it opened up, got the value from the database, and it just did the comparison. If I go to this, you can see those values. So here, yeah, you can see this time. This is my test case. These are my steps: navigate to site, pass, verify for some time, pass, get UI value, pass, connect to DB, pass, drafting the query, pass, concatenating the query. Just for testing purpose I added this step. Execute query, pass, getting the value from the DB, pass, comparing UI and DB, pass. So overall my test case is pass. So yeah, you can try to run this framework based on the test cases.